Chapter 7 The Unforeseen Consequences and the New Beginnings. In the years following the defeat of the ancient evil, Havenbrook had blossomed into a prosperous and renowned community. The village's reputation for courage, knowledge, and unity had spread far and wide, attracting settlers, scholars, and travelers from distant lands. The small settlement had transformed into a bustling town, with new buildings, a vibrant marketplace, and a growing population. Lila and Lycan, now respected elders, watched with pride as their children, Arya, Finn, and Kai, took on important roles in the community. Arya had become a skilled healer, following in her mother's footsteps. Her gentle touch and deep understanding of herbs and magic made her a favorite among the townspeople. Finn and Kai, on the other hand, had become the town's protectors. They led hunting parties, trained the town's militia, and ensured the safety of the settlement and its surrounding areas. However, not all was well in the idyllic town of Havenbrook. One day, strange things began to occur. Crops in the fields started to wither and die for no apparent reason. The livestock became sick, and a sense of unease settled over the town. Lila, as the former village healer and a respected figure, was among the first to investigate. She spent days examining the crops and the sick animals. She used her knowledge of herbs and magic, but nothing seemed to work. "I've never seen anything like this," she told Lycan one evening. "It's as if there's some hidden force at work, something that's affecting the very life force of our land." Lycan, his werewolf senses on high alert, had also noticed a strange change in the air. There was a faint, acrid smell that he couldn't quite place, and the forest, which had once been a source of comfort and life, now seemed to be holding its breath. "I think this is related to the ancient evil we defeated," he said. "Maybe there were some unforeseen consequences of our actions." The town council was called into session. Lila, Lycan, Arya, Finn, Kai, and Elise, who was now the head of the academy, gathered to discuss the situation. Elise, with her vast knowledge of ancient texts, frowned. "I've been researching, and I've found some disturbing references. Sometimes, when a great evil is sealed away, its remnants can seep into the land, causing chaos and imbalance." The council members looked at each other, their faces filled with worry. "What can we do?" asked one of the councillors. "We can't let our town and our land be destroyed." Lila stepped forward. "We need to find the source of this imbalance. We should start by exploring the areas around the Darkwood Forest, especially the chamber where we sealed the evil." Lycan nodded. "I'll gather a group of our bravest warriors. We'll go to the forest and see what we can find." Arya, Finn, and Kai immediately volunteered to go with their father. "We can't let you face this alone, Dad," Finn said. Elise also offered to come. "I might be able to identify any ancient magic or symbols that could be related to this problem." The group set off for the Darkwood Forest. As they entered the forest, they noticed that it was different from how they remembered it. The trees, which had regained their normal appearance after the defeat of the evil, now seemed to be showing signs of stress. The leaves were turning brown, and the once clear paths were overgrown with thorns. As they made their way towards the chamber, they heard strange noises. It was as if the forest itself was groaning in pain. Lycan motioned for the group to be quiet. "There's something here. I can smell it." Suddenly, a large, shadowy figure emerged from behind a tree. It was a creature they had never seen before. It was part tree, with gnarled branches for arms and legs, and its body was made of dark, decaying wood. Its eyes were glowing orbs of green light, filled with a malevolent intent. The creature let out a roar and charged at them. Lycan and the warriors quickly drew their weapons. Arya, using her healing magic, prepared to tend to any injuries. Elise started chanting spells to weaken the creature. The battle was fierce. The creature was strong, and its branches were like clubs, swinging with great force. Finn and Kai fought bravely, their swords flashing in the dim light of the forest. Lycan, using his werewolf strength, managed to land a few blows on the creature, but it seemed to be regenerating quickly. Elise, after a moment of intense concentration, noticed a symbol on the creature's trunk. That symbol. It's related to the ancient evil. We need to focus our attacks on that area. The group redirected their attacks, and with a coordinated effort, they managed to damage the symbol. The creature let out a screech and collapsed. As it did, they noticed that the air around them seemed to clear a little. They continued their journey to the chamber. When they reached the chamber, they found that the area around it was filled with a strange, black mist. The mist was thick and seemed to be sucking the life out of everything around it. Lila, using the power of the amulet, which she had kept as a reminder of their past victory, tried to dispel the mist. But the mist resisted. "This is going to be difficult," she said. Elise studied the symbols around the chamber. "I think I know what we need to do. There's an ancient cleansing ritual that might work. But we'll need some rare ingredients." The group spent the next few days gathering the ingredients. They traveled to distant parts of the forest, searching for the specific herbs and magical items that Elise had identified. Lila used her knowledge of the forest to find the herbs, while Lycan and the others protected her from any potential threats. Once they had all the ingredients, they returned to the chamber. Elise began the cleansing ritual. She lit candles, arranged the ingredients in a specific pattern, and started chanting the ancient words. The air around the chamber crackled with energy, and the black mist started to swirl. As Elise continued to chant, the mist seemed to fight back. It sent out tendrils of dark energy, trying to disrupt the ritual. Lycan and the warriors stood guard, using their weapons to fend off the dark energy. Arya, Finn, and Kai helped their mother, Lila, to maintain the power of the amulet. After what seemed like hours, the mist started to thin. The dark energy was slowly being dispelled. With a final, powerful chant, Elise completed the ritual. The black mist dissipated, and the chamber was once again bathed in a normal, natural light. But they knew that their work was not done. They needed to ensure that the land was fully restored. Lila and Arya went to work on the withered crops and sick animals. They used a combination of healing magic and herbal remedies to bring life back to the land. Lycan, Finn, and Kai led a group of villagers to repair the damaged areas of the forest. They cleared the overgrown paths, planted new trees, and made sure that the forest was once again a safe and thriving ecosystem. Elise, meanwhile, continued to research in the academy. She wanted to find a way to prevent such imbalances from occurring in the future. She spent days poring over ancient texts, looking for clues and solutions. Over the next few weeks, the land started to heal. The crops grew back, the livestock regained their health, and the forest once again became a place of beauty and life. The town of Havenbrook celebrated their victory over the unforeseen consequences of the ancient evil. As the town recovered, a new sense of unity and determination filled the air. The people of Havenbrook had faced yet another challenge and overcome it. They knew that they could face any problem as long as they worked together. Lila and Lycan, seeing the resilience of their town and their children, felt a deep sense of pride. "We've taught them well," Lycan said, smiling at Lila. Lila nodded. "Yes, we have. And I know that they'll continue to protect this land and our community for generations to come." The town of Havenbrook, having faced and overcome the unforeseen consequences of the ancient evil, entered a new era of growth and development. The people, more aware of the delicate balance of magic and nature, took steps to preserve the land. Arya, inspired by the recent events, decided to start a project to educate the younger generation about the importance of maintaining the balance of magic in the land. She organized classes in the academy, teaching children about the different types of magic and how to use them responsibly. Finn and Kai, on the other hand, established a network of scouts and guards. They patrolled the borders of the town and the forest, making sure that no new threats emerged. They also trained the young men and women of the town in combat skills, preparing them for any potential dangers. Elise, with her research, discovered new ways to detect and prevent magical imbalances. She developed a series of spells and rituals that could be used to monitor the magic in the land. These spells were taught to the mages of the town, who took on the responsibility of keeping the magic in check. The town's marketplace became a center of trade not only for goods but also for knowledge. Scholars from different lands came to Havenbrook to learn about the town's experiences with ancient magic and its consequences. In return, they shared their own knowledge and wisdom, enriching the town's cultural and intellectual life. As the years passed, the story of how Havenbrook overcame the unforeseen consequences of the ancient evil became an important part of the town's lore. It was a story that was told to every new generation, a story that taught the values of perseverance, unity, and the importance of respecting the power of magic. One sunny day, as Lila and Lycan sat in the town square, watching the children play and the townspeople go about their daily business, they knew that their town had a bright future. The challenges they had faced had made them stronger, and the lessons they had learned would guide them in the years to come. The town of Havenbrook, with its rich history, strong community, and the spirit of exploration and learning, stood as a model for other settlements in the land. And the legacy of Lila, Lycan, and their family would continue to inspire, ensuring that the town would always thrive, no matter what challenges lay ahead. Chapter 8: The Arrival of the Stranger and the New Mystery. In the flourishing town of Havenbrook, life had settled into a harmonious rhythm. The land was fertile, the people were content, and the memory of past perils had faded into the rich tapestry of the town's history. Lila and Lycan, now enjoying their well-earned status as the town's esteemed elders, spent their days sharing their wisdom with the younger generation. Arya, Finn, and Kai had become pillars of the community, their skills and dedication ensuring the continued prosperity of Havenbrook. One bright morning, as the sun cast a warm glow over the town square, a stranger rode into Havenbrook. He was a tall man, dressed in a long, dark cloak that billowed behind him in the breeze. His face was partially hidden by a wide, brimmed hat, and a pair of sharp, intelligent eyes surveyed the town with a mix of curiosity and caution. The townspeople, accustomed to visitors but always vigilant, watched the stranger's approach with interest. Arya, who was passing by the square on her way to the healing hut, noticed the man's arrival. She could sense an air of mystery about him, and her healer's instincts told her that there was more to this stranger than met the eye. The stranger dismounted his horse and approached a group of townspeople. "Good day," he said, his voice deep and slightly raspy. "I am called Aaron. I have traveled far and heard many tales of this place. I seek knowledge and perhaps a place to rest for a while." The townspeople, always welcoming, directed him to the local inn. Arya, however, decided to follow him. She watched as he settled into the inn, and then she made her way to the council hall to inform Lycan and the others about the stranger. Lycan listened intently as Arya described the man. "A stranger arriving out of nowhere is always cause for some concern," he said. "But we can't be too hasty to judge. Maybe he is just a traveler seeking knowledge, as he claims." Elise, who was also present, nodded. "I'll do some research. There might be something in the ancient texts about a man named Aaron or any similar figures." Over the next few days, Aaron became a familiar sight in Havenbrook. He spent his days wandering around the town, talking to the townspeople, and visiting the academy. He showed a particular interest in the town's history, especially the events surrounding the defeat of the ancient evil. One day, Aaron approached Arya as she was gathering herbs in the forest. "Your skills as a healer are well known," he said. "I have seen the way you tend to the sick. It is truly remarkable." Arya smiled politely. "Thank you. Healing is my passion. But I sense that you have more on your mind than just complimenting my skills." Aaron laughed. You are perceptive. I have heard stories of the ancient evil you faced, and the artifacts you used to defeat it. I am curious about these artifacts. Do they still exist? Arya was immediately on guard. The artifacts are safely stored. They are a part of our town's history and a reminder of what we've overcome. Why do you ask? Aaron's eyes flickered with something that Arya couldn't quite identify. I have my reasons. There are forces at work in the world, forces that seek power. If these artifacts were to fall into the wrong hands, it could mean great danger. Arya decided to bring this conversation to her parents. Lycan and Lila were just as concerned. We can't be sure of his intentions, Lycan said. But we also can't ignore his warning. We need to keep a closer eye on the artifacts and on Aaron. Meanwhile, Elise had been researching in the Academy's library. She found some disturbing references in the ancient texts. There were mentions of a group of dark mages who had been searching for powerful artifacts for centuries. These mages believed that by combining certain artifacts, they could gain ultimate power and rule the land. Elise presented her findings to the council. I think Aaron might be connected to these dark mages. The description of their goals and the way they operate match his curious inquiries about the artifacts. The council decided to confront Aaron. Lycan, Lila, Arya, Finn, Kai, and Elise went to the inn where Aaron was staying. When they entered his room, they found him poring over a map that seemed to have markings related to the locations of the artifacts. Aaron looked up, startled. What is the meaning of this intrusion? He asked, trying to sound indignant. Lycan stepped forward. We know what you're up to, Aaron. We've done our research. Are you a part of the group of dark mages who are after the artifacts? Aaron hesitated for a moment, then sighed. Yes, I am. But I'm not here to take the artifacts by force. I've seen the power of the dark mages, and I've come to realize that their goals are wrong. I was hoping to warn you and perhaps find a way to stop them. The group was skeptical. Why should we believe you? Finn asked. Aaron reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, enchanted amulet. This amulet was given to me by a friend who was once a part of the dark mages. It can be used to track their movements. I was planning to use it to help you stop them. Lila studied the amulet. She could sense the magic within it, and it seemed to be genuine. We need to be careful, but if what he says is true, we might be able to use this to our advantage. The council decided to hear Aaron out. He told them that the dark mages were aware of the artifacts in Havenbrook. They were planning a large-scale attack to seize the artifacts and use their power for their own evil purposes. Aaron explained, the dark mages have been gathering their forces. They have powerful spells and dark creatures at their command. They believe that with the artifacts, they can break the remaining seals on other ancient evils, plunging the land into chaos. Lycan frowned. We can't let that happen. But we need a plan. We need to strengthen our defenses and find a way to strike first. Over the next few days, the town of Havenbrook was in a flurry of activity. The militia was trained intensively. Lila, Arya, and the other healers prepared potions and remedies for the inevitable battle. Finn and Kai led scouting parties to gather information about the Dark Mage's movements. Elise, with the help of Aaron, used the enchanted amulet to track the Dark Mages. They discovered that the Dark Mages were camped in a valley not too far from Havenbrook. The valley was surrounded by mountains, and it was a strategic location for an ambush. The council decided to launch a pre-emptive strike. A group of the town's bravest warriors, led by Lycan, Finn, and Kai, set off for the valley. Arya and Lila accompanied them, ready to tend to any injuries. Elise and Aaron stayed behind to coordinate the defenses of the town in case of any counter-attacks. As they approached the valley, they could feel the presence of dark magic. The air was thick with it, and the sky seemed to be darker than usual. Lycan motioned for the group to be quiet. They crept forward, their senses on high alert. Suddenly, they were attacked by a group of dark creatures. These creatures were a mix of wolves with black, shadowy fur and winged serpents. The battle was intense. The dark creatures were fast and fierce, but the warriors of Havenbrook were well trained. Lycan, in his werewolf form, fought with a ferocity that was both terrifying and inspiring. Finn and Kai, using their swords and combat skills, managed to hold their ground. Arya and Lila, in the midst of the battle, used their healing magic to keep the warriors in the fight. As they fought their way through the dark creatures, they reached the heart of the Dark Mage's camp. The Dark Mages, realizing that they were under attack, emerged from their tents. They were chanting spells, their hands glowing with dark energy. Lycan charged at the lead Dark Mage. The Dark Mage sent a blast of dark magic towards him, but Lycan dodged. Lila, seeing an opportunity, used the power of the amulet, which she had retrieved for the battle, to create a shield around Lycan. Finn and Kai, along with the other warriors, engaged the remaining dark mages. Arya, in the chaos, noticed a large, black crystal in the center of the camp. She realized that this crystal was powering the dark mage's spells. She made her way towards the crystal, fighting off the dark creatures that tried to stop her. When she reached the crystal, she used a spell that Elise had taught her. The spell disrupted the crystal's power, and the dark mage's spells faltered. With the dark mage's power weakened, the warriors of Havenbrook launched a final attack. They managed to defeat the dark mages, and the dark creatures fled into the forest. The group let out a cheer of victory, but they knew that they couldn't celebrate just yet. They returned to Havenbrook, where they were greeted as heroes. But they also knew that there could be more dark mages out there, and they needed to be prepared. Aaron, who had proven his loyalty during the battle, was welcomed into the town. He decided to stay and help the town strengthen its defenses and research ways to prevent future attacks from the dark mages. The town of Havenbrook, once again, had faced a threat and overcome it. But they knew that the world was a dangerous place, and they needed to be ever vigilant. Lila, Lycan, and their family, along with the entire town, were determined to protect their home and the land from any future threats. As the days passed, the town continued to thrive. The victory over the dark mages had strengthened the town's sense of unity and purpose. Arya, Finn, and Kai became even more respected in the community, and their leadership was crucial in the town's continued development. Elise, with Aaron's help, continued to research in the academy. They discovered new ways to detect and counter dark magic, and these findings were shared with the other towns in the region. The story of the battle against the dark mages became another chapter in the town's long and rich history. It was a story that would be told and retold, a story that taught the importance of courage, unity, and the ability to see beyond first impressions. One evening, as Lila and Lycan sat on the porch of their home, looking out at the town, they knew that their journey was far from over. But they were confident that with the love and support of their community, they could face any challenge that came their way. The town of Havenbrook, with its strong walls, brave people, and the spirit of resilience, stood as a beacon of hope in the land. And the legacy of Lila, Lycan, and their family would continue to inspire generations to come, ensuring that the town would always be a place of peace, prosperity, and protection. Chapter 9: The Echoes of the Past and the Forging of Alliances. In the aftermath of the battle with the Dark Mages, Havenbrook entered a period of relative calm. The town's defenses were bolstered, and the knowledge gained from the encounter with Aaron and the Dark Mages was used to develop better ways of detecting and countering dark magic. The townspeople went about their daily lives with a new, found sense of vigilance, but also with a deep, seated pride in their ability to overcome adversity. Lila and Lycan, having seen their town through yet another crisis, took on the role of mentors more actively. They spent hours with the younger generation, sharing their experiences and teaching them the values of courage, unity, and wisdom. Arya, Finn, and Kai, now respected leaders in their own right, continued to serve the town with dedication. Arya expanded the healing hut, training more apprentices in the art of healing. Finn and Kai organized regular training sessions for the militia, ensuring that the town was always prepared for any threat. One day, a messenger arrived in Havenbrook. He was from a distant town called Silverglade, a place known for its skilled mages and scholars. The messenger carried a letter for the Council of Havenbrook. Lycan, as one of the council leaders, opened the letter and read it aloud. To the Council of Havenbrook. We of Silverglade have heard of your recent encounter with the Dark Mages. Our town, too, has been facing similar threats. Dark magic has been seeping into our lands, causing unrest among our people. We believe that by joining forces, we can better combat these threats. We propose an alliance between our two towns. We could share knowledge, resources, and defend each other in times of need. We invite you to send a delegation to Silverglade to discuss the terms of this alliance. Sincerely, the Council of Silverglade. The council members of Havenbrook discussed the letter. There was a sense of excitement and caution. An alliance could be a great opportunity, said one counselor. We could learn a lot from their mages, and they could benefit from our experience in dealing with dark magic. Elise nodded. But we need to be careful. We don't know much about Silverglade. We should send a group to assess the situation before we commit to anything. It was decided that Lycan, Arya, and Aaron would form the delegation to Silverglade. Aaron, with his knowledge of dark magic and his past connections, could be a valuable asset in the discussions. The three of them prepared for the journey, packing supplies and gathering information about Silverglade from the few travelers who had been there. The journey to Silverglade was long and filled with its own challenges. They had to cross a large, barren plain, where the sun beat down mercilessly during the day, and the temperature dropped drastically at night. Along the way, they encountered a group of bandits. The bandits, seeing them as easy prey, attacked. Lycan, Arya, and Aaron quickly drew their weapons. Lycan, in his werewolf form, charged at the bandits, his presence alone intimidating many of them. Arya used her healing magic to protect her companions and also launched small, targeted spells at the bandits. Aaron, with his knowledge of dark magic, countered any dark-based attacks from the bandits. The bandits, realizing that they had underestimated their opponents, fled after a brief skirmish. The delegation continued their journey, more cautious than ever. After several days of travel, they finally reached Silverglade. The town was unlike Havenbrook. It was built around a large, crystal, clear lake, and the buildings were made of a strange, white stone that seemed to glow faintly in the sunlight. The air was filled with the sound of soft, magical chimes, and mages could be seen walking through the streets, their robes billowing behind them. The delegation was greeted by a group of Silverglade's council members. They were led to the council hall, a magnificent building with high, domed ceilings adorned with magical symbols. The Council of Silverglade welcomed them warmly and immediately began to discuss the situation. The leader of the Silverglade Council, a wise-looking woman named Lila, spoke. We've been struggling with this dark magic for some time. Creatures of the night have been attacking our outlying farms, and our mages have been having difficulty in countering the dark spells. Lycan nodded. We've faced similar problems in Havenbrook. But we've managed to develop some ways of detecting and fighting dark magic. We believe that by sharing our knowledge, we can both benefit. Over the next few days, the delegation from Havenbrook and the Council of Silverglade engaged in in-depth discussions. Arya shared her knowledge of herbal remedies that could counteract the effects of dark magic, while the mages of Silverglade taught Aaron and the others new spells for protection. However, not everyone in Silverglade was in favor of the alliance. A group of mages, led by a powerful but misguided mage named Thaddeus, believed that Havenbrook was not to be trusted. They thought that Havenbrook was hiding something about the artifacts they had used to defeat the ancient evil. Thaddeus approached Lycan one day. Your town has powerful artifacts. We've heard stories. Why should we trust that you'll use them for the greater good? What if you plan to use them against us? Lycan was taken aback. Those artifacts were used to seal away an ancient evil that threatened the entire land. We have no intention of using them against anyone. Our goal is to protect the land from dark magic, just as yours should be. Arya stepped in. We've come here in good faith. We want to help. We've faced dark magic before, and we know how dangerous it can be. By working together, we can prevent it from causing more harm. But Thaddeus was not convinced. I'll be watching you. And if I find any evidence that you're up to something, I won't hesitate to take action. The situation in Silverglade became tense. The Council of Silverglade was divided, with some members supporting the alliance and others siding with Thaddeus. Lycan, Arya, and Aaron knew that they had to find a way to convince the skeptics. They decided to offer a demonstration. Arya and the mages of Silverglade worked together to create a spell that could detect and neutralize dark magic. They used this spell to clear a nearby forest that had been infested with dark creatures. The demonstration was a success, and many of the skeptics began to see the potential benefits of the alliance. Thaddeus, however, was still reluctant. But as more and more of his allies were swayed by the demonstration, he realized that he was in the minority. Just as it seemed that the alliance was about to be finalized, a new threat emerged. Dark clouds gathered over Silverglade, and a powerful, dark energy began to pulse through the town. The dark mages, having learned of the potential alliance, had launched a preemptive strike. Creatures made of shadow emerged from the clouds, attacking the town. The mages of Silverglade, along with Lycan, Arya, and Aaron, quickly mobilized. Lycan transformed into his werewolf form and charged at the shadowy creatures. Arya used her healing and offensive magic to help the mages. Aaron, using his knowledge of the dark mages' tactics, countered their spells. The battle was intense. The dark mages, from a distance, were chanting powerful dark spells, trying to break the defenses of Silverglade. The mages of Silverglade fought bravely, but they were being pushed back. Lycan, seeing the situation, knew that they needed to do something drastic. He called out to Arya and Aaron. We need to find the source of their magic. If we can disrupt it, we can turn the tide of the battle. The three of them, along with a group of Silverglade's bravest mages, fought their way through the shadowy creatures towards the dark mages. As they got closer, they could feel the power of the dark magic increasing. Suddenly, Aaron noticed a pattern in the dark mages' spells. They're using a powerful, ancient spell. But there's a flaw in it. If we can break their concentration at the right moment, we can disrupt the spell. Arya and Lycan nodded. They waited for the right moment. When the dark mages were in the middle of chanting the most crucial part of the spell, Arya launched a powerful blast of light magic, while Lycan charged at them, howling. The dark mages were distracted. Their concentration broken, the spell backfired. The shadowy creatures disappeared, and the dark clouds dissipated. The dark mages, weakened by the backfired spell, fled. The people of Silverglade cheered. The alliance, which had been on the verge of collapse, was now stronger than ever. The Council of Silverglade, impressed by the actions of Lycan, Arya, and Aaron, quickly finalized the terms of the alliance. The delegation from Havenbrook returned home with the news. The town of Havenbrook celebrated the new alliance. They knew that with Silverglade as an ally, they were better equipped to face any future threats from dark magic. The alliance between Havenbrook and Silverglade led to a period of growth and learning. Mages from Silverglade visited Havenbrook to study the town's unique approach to dealing with dark magic, while the healers and warriors of Havenbrook traveled to Silverglade to learn new spells and combat techniques. Lila, back in Havenbrook, was proud of her daughter and the rest of the delegation. "You've done well," she told Arya. "This alliance could be the key to protecting our land for generations to come." The town, with its new, found ally, continued to thrive. The story of how they overcame the opposition in Silverglade and formed an alliance in the face of a new threat became another chapter in the town's history. It was a story that taught the importance of perseverance, diplomacy, and the power of unity in the face of a common enemy. As the seasons changed, Havenbrook and Silverglade worked together to strengthen their defenses, share knowledge, and protect the land from the ever-present threat of dark magic. And the legacy of Lila, Lycan, and their family continued to inspire, ensuring that the towns would remain strong and united in the face of any future challenges. One day, as Arya walked through the now bustling marketplace of Havenbrook, she saw the signs of the town's growth and the positive impact of the alliance. She knew that there would be more challenges ahead, but she was confident that with the support of Silverglade and the spirit of her town, they could overcome anything. The town of Havenbrook, with its rich history of facing and overcoming adversity, stood as a symbol of hope and resilience. And the alliance with Silverglade was a step towards a future where the land would be free from the shadow of dark magic. Chapter 10: The Dark Prophecies Unraveling and the Gathering Storm. The alliance between Havenbrook and Silverglade had brought a sense of stability and growth to both towns. The exchange of knowledge and resources had strengthened their defenses against dark magic, and the bond between the two communities had grown deeper. However, beneath the surface of this new, found harmony, dark forces were at work, weaving a web of prophecy and peril. Elise, in her ongoing research at the Academy in Havenbrook, stumbled upon an ancient scroll hidden away in the depths of the library. The scroll was written in an archaic language that took her days to decipher. As she finally unraveled its secrets, a sense of dread washed over her. The scroll spoke of a long, forgotten prophecy, one that foretold of a great darkness that would rise from the depths of an ancient, forbidden place. This darkness was not like the previous threats they had faced. It was a primordial force, older than the land itself, and it was said to be awakening. The prophecy also hinted that this darkness was connected to the artifacts that Lila, Lycan, and their companions had used to seal away the ancient evil. Elise immediately brought the scroll to the attention of the council. Lycan, Lila, Arya, Finn, Kai, and the other council members gathered to hear her findings. "This is a serious matter," Lycan said, his brow furrowed with concern. "If this prophecy is true, we're facing a threat unlike any other." Arya looked at the scroll, her eyes wide with worry. "But how can we be sure? And what can we do to stop this darkness from rising?" Elise pointed to a passage on the scroll. "According to this, there are 3 keys hidden in different parts of the land. These keys were created by the Ancient Ones to keep the darkness sealed away. If we can find these keys before the darkness fully awakens, we might be able to prevent the catastrophe." The council members discussed the matter at length. They knew that they couldn't face this threat alone. They sent messengers to Silverglade, informing them of the discovery and inviting their council to a joint meeting. The Council of Silverglade arrived in Havenbrook, and the 2 groups gathered in the council hall. Ilara, the leader of the Silverglade Council, listened intently as Elise explained the prophecy. "This is a grave situation," Ilara said. "But if anyone can find these keys, it's the combined forces of our 2 towns." It was decided that a large-scale search party would be formed. Teams from both Havenbrook and Silverglade would be sent to different regions of the land to find the keys. Lycan, Finn, and Kai would lead one team to the northern mountains, a place known for its harsh terrain and ancient ruins. Arya, along with a group of mages from Silverglade, would head to the southern swamps, a place filled with mystery and danger. Elise and a group of scholars would stay behind to continue researching the prophecy and any possible clues. Lycan's team set off for the northern mountains. The journey was arduous. The snow-covered peaks were treacherous, and the cold was biting. As they climbed higher, they encountered strange, icy creatures. These creatures were like large, winged wolves made of ice. They attacked the team, their sharp claws and teeth glistening in the sunlight. Lycan, in his werewolf form, fought bravely. His strength and agility allowed him to fend off the creatures. Finn and Kai, along with the other warriors, used their weapons to help. They managed to drive the creatures away, but they knew that they were getting closer to their destination. After days of travel, they reached an ancient temple hidden in a valley between the mountains. The temple was in ruins, but there were signs that it had once been a place of great power. As they entered the temple, they found strange symbols engraved on the walls. Kai, who had been studying ancient symbols, recognized some of them. "These symbols are related to the keys. I think the key might be hidden somewhere in this temple." The team began to search the temple. They explored every nook and cranny, but they couldn't find the key. Just as they were about to give up, Finn noticed a hidden door behind a large, fallen statue. They managed to move the statue and opened the door. Inside, there was a small chamber. In the center of the chamber, on a pedestal, was a key made of a strange, glowing metal. The key was inscribed with symbols that seemed to pulse with a faint light. Lycan picked up the key. This must be one of the keys. We need to get it back to Havenbrook. Meanwhile, Arya's team had reached the southern swamps. The swamps were thick with mist, and the ground was soft and spongy. They had to be careful not to step into the quicksand. As they made their way through the swamps, they were attacked by a group of giant, venomous snakes. The mages from Silverglade used their magic to create barriers to protect the team. Arya, using her healing magic, was ready to tend to any injuries. One of the mages, a young man named Orion, used a spell to paralyze the snakes. The team quickly moved past the snakes and continued their search. They came across an old, abandoned tower in the middle of the swamps. The tower was overgrown with vines, and there was a strange, purple glow coming from the top. Arya and the others entered the tower. The stairs were rickety, but they managed to climb to the top. At the top of the tower, they found a room filled with strange, magical artifacts. In the corner, there was a small box. Arya opened the box, and inside was the second key. This key was made of a dark, polished stone, and it had a strange, cold energy. With the two keys in their possession, the teams from the north and the south made their way back to Havenbrook. However, as they journeyed, they noticed that the land seemed to be changing. The air was growing colder, and dark clouds were gathering in the sky. Back in Havenbrook, Elise and the other scholars had made some disturbing discoveries. They found more references to the prophecy in other ancient texts. The texts suggested that the darkness was awakening faster than they had anticipated. The council, now with the two keys in hand, knew that they had to find the third key quickly. But they also knew that the darkness was closing in. The sky over Havenbrook was now a constant shade of grey, and strange noises could be heard coming from the forest at night. The council decided to send out a final search party. This time, they would all go together, along with a large group of warriors and mages from both towns. They followed the few remaining clues they had, which led them to an ancient forest on the outskirts of the land. As they entered the forest, they could feel the presence of dark magic. The trees were black and withered, and the air was thick with a sense of foreboding. Suddenly, a large, shadowy figure emerged from the trees. It was a creature unlike any they had seen before. It was a towering mass of shadow, with glowing red eyes and long, sharp claws. The creature let out a roar that shook the ground. The council members and the search party quickly prepared for battle. Lycan transformed into his werewolf form, and the mages from Silverglade began to chant spells. Arya, Lila, and the other healers readied their potions and healing magic. The battle was fierce. The shadowy creature was incredibly powerful. It swiped at the warriors with its claws, and dark energy pulsed from its body, knocking some of the mages off their feet. But the combined forces of Havenbrook and Silverglade refused to back down. Finn and Kai, along with a group of brave warriors, launched a frontal attack on the creature. Their swords seemed to have little effect on the shadowy form, but they managed to distract it. Arya, seeing an opportunity, used a powerful healing spell that also had a purifying effect. The spell weakened the creature's dark energy. Ilara, the leader of the Silverglade Council, used a powerful, ancient spell. The spell created a bright, white light that engulfed the creature. The creature let out a scream of pain, and its form began to dissipate. With the creature defeated, they continued their search. They found a small, hidden cave in the forest. Inside the cave, they found the third key. This key was made of a pure, golden metal, and it seemed to shine with an otherworldly light. With all three keys in their possession, they knew that they were one step closer to stopping the darkness. But they also knew that the final battle was upon them. The darkness was now almost fully awake, and they could feel its power threatening to engulf the land. The council returned to Havenbrook, where they began to prepare for the final confrontation. They studied the prophecy, trying to figure out how to use the keys to seal away the darkness once again. Elise, with the help of the scholars from both towns, discovered that the keys had to be used in a specific ritual at the very place where the darkness was awakening. The place was an ancient, underground chamber deep in the heart of a nearby mountain. The council, along with a large group of warriors, mages, and healers, set off for the mountain. As they approached the entrance to the underground chamber, they could feel the intense dark energy. The entrance to the chamber was guarded by a series of powerful, dark spells. The mages from Silverglade worked together to break the spells. It took them hours of intense concentration, but finally, the spells were broken, and they entered the chamber. The chamber was filled with a thick, black mist. The air was so cold that their breath turned to frost. In the center of the chamber, there was a large, swirling portal. The portal was the source of the darkness, and it was growing larger by the minute. The council members knew what they had to do. Lycan, Arya, and Ilara stepped forward, each holding one of the keys. They began the ritual, chanting the words that Elise and the scholars had deciphered from the prophecy. The keys began to glow brightly, and the light from the keys started to push back the dark mist. The portal, however, resisted. It sent out waves of dark energy, trying to stop the ritual. The warriors and mages of both towns formed a circle around the council members, using their magic and weapons to protect them from the dark energy. Lila, along with the other healers, tended to those who were injured by the dark energy. As the ritual continued, the key's light grew stronger. The portal started to shrink, and the dark mist began to dissipate. With a final, powerful chant, the portal closed, and the darkness was sealed away once again. The land seemed to sigh in relief. The dark clouds cleared, and the sun shone brightly once more. The people of Havenbrook and Silverglade cheered. They had done it. They had faced the threat of the dark prophecy and emerged victorious. The alliance between the two towns was stronger than ever. The story of their battle against the dark prophecy became a legend that would be told for generations to come. It was a story of courage, unity, and the power of knowledge. Lila, Lycan, and their family, along with the entire community of Havenbrook and Silverglade, knew that they had protected their land from a great evil. And they were ready to face any future challenges, knowing that together, they could overcome anything. As the days passed, the land began to heal. The withered trees in the forest regained their life, and the swamps and mountains once again became places of beauty and mystery. The people of Havenbrook and Silverglade continued to live in harmony, sharing their knowledge and resources, and looking towards a future filled with hope. One sunny day, as Arya, Finn, and Kai played with the children of both towns in the meadow between Havenbrook and Silverglade, they knew that the sacrifices and efforts of their parents and the entire community had been worth it. The land was safe, and the legacy of their courage and unity would live on. Chapter 11 – The Aftermath of Victory and the Stirrings of a New Adventure. The defeat of the primordial darkness had left the combined communities of Havenbrook and Silverglade in a state of elation and relief. The land, once again, basked in the warmth of the sun, and the air was filled with the sounds of celebration. The townspeople, who had come together in the face of a seemingly insurmountable threat, now reveled in their shared victory. Lila and Lycan, having witnessed yet another triumph over darkness, were filled with a deep sense of pride. Their children, Arya, Finn, and Kai, had not only played crucial roles in the battle but had also grown into leaders in their own right. The bonds between the two towns had solidified, and a new era of cooperation and prosperity seemed to be on the horizon. In the days following the victory, the focus shifted to the restoration of the land. The withered forests were replanted, the barren fields were rejuvenated, and the damaged areas of both towns were rebuilt. The mages of Silverglade used their magic to accelerate the growth of plants, while the artisans of Havenbrook crafted beautiful new buildings and structures. Arya, as the head healer of Havenbrook, played a significant role in the restoration process. She led a team of healers to tend to the few remaining injuries and also used her knowledge of herbs to create potions that could help the land recover more quickly. These potions will not only heal the physical wounds of the land but also restore its natural balance, she explained to her apprentices. Finn and Kai, on the other hand, organized groups of volunteers to help with the manual labor. They supervised the construction of new homes, the repair of roads, and the building of defenses. "We need to make sure that our towns are even stronger than before," Finn said, as he directed a group of workers to reinforce the town walls. Elise, in the academy, was busy documenting the events of the battle and the prophecy. She wanted to preserve the knowledge for future generations. "This is an important part of our history," she told the young scholars. "We must learn from these experiences to be better prepared for any future threats." The council of both towns also met regularly to discuss the future of their alliance. They decided to establish a joint council, which would oversee the long-term cooperation between Havenbrook and Silverglade. This council would be responsible for matters such as trade, defense, and the sharing of knowledge. However, amidst the joy and reconstruction, there were signs of a new mystery. Travelers from distant lands began to bring strange rumors to the towns. They spoke of an island far out in the sea, an island that was said to be hidden by a thick veil of magic. On this island, it was rumored, there were ancient treasures and powerful magic that could either bring great prosperity or cause untold destruction. Arya, always curious, was intrigued by these rumors. She brought them to the attention of her family and the council. "We've faced so many threats and overcome them. Maybe this island could hold something that would further strengthen our towns," she said. Lycan was hesitant. "These are just rumors, Arya. And an island hidden by magic could be extremely dangerous. We don't know what kind of creatures or magic we might encounter." But Arya was not deterred. "I think we should at least investigate. We have the knowledge and the strength now. And if there are treasures or magic that could help us protect the land better, we should explore the possibility." The council decided to send a scouting party to investigate the rumors. Arya, along with a group of skilled mages from Silverglade, experienced warriors from Havenbrook, and a navigator who had heard stories of the island, set off on their journey. The journey by sea was long and filled with challenges. Storms threatened to capsize their ship, and strange sea creatures lurked beneath the waves. One day, as they were sailing through a particularly rough patch of water, a large, tentacled creature emerged from the depths. The creature lashed out at the ship, its tentacles wrapping around the mast. The warriors quickly drew their weapons, and the mages began to chant spells. Arya, using her healing magic, prepared to tend to any injuries. The mages sent blasts of fire and ice at the creature, while the warriors hacked at its tentacles with their swords. After a fierce battle, they managed to drive the creature away. But they knew that more dangers lay ahead. Finally, after days of sailing, they saw a faint outline of an island on the horizon. As they got closer, they could see the thick veil of magic surrounding it. The navigator, using his knowledge of ancient charts, found a way through the veil. When they landed on the island, they were greeted by a strange, otherworldly landscape. The trees were made of a strange, iridescent crystal, and the flowers glowed with a soft, multicolored light. The air was filled with a sweet, intoxicating scent. As they explored the island, they came across an ancient temple. The temple was built of a white stone that seemed to pulsate with a faint energy. The doors of the temple were closed, and there were strange symbols engraved on them. One of the mages, a young woman named Isolde, studied the symbols. "These symbols are ancient, even older than the ones we've encountered before. They seem to be some kind of warning." But Arya, driven by her curiosity, suggested that they try to open the doors. "We've come this far. We should at least see what's inside." The mages worked together to decipher the symbols and find a way to open the doors. After some time, they managed to unlock the mechanism, and the doors slowly creaked open. Inside the temple, there was a large, circular chamber. In the center of the chamber, there was a pedestal. On the pedestal, there was a book made of a strange, glowing material. As Arya approached the pedestal, she could feel a powerful magic emanating from the book. Just as she was about to pick up the book, a group of small, winged creatures emerged from the shadows. These creatures were like tiny, glowing imps, but their eyes were filled with a fierce protectiveness. The imps flew towards the group, their small hands glowing with magic. Arya quickly raised a shield using her magic. "We mean no harm. We're just here to learn," she said. The imps seemed to understand her words. One of them, slightly larger than the others, flew closer. "This book is a dangerous artifact. It contains knowledge that could either save or destroy the world. Why do you seek it?" Arya explained about their towns, the threats they had faced, and their desire to protect the land. The imps listened intently. After a moment, the lead imp spoke again. "If you can prove that you will use the knowledge for good, we will allow you to take the book. But you must pass a test." The group was led deeper into the temple by the imps. They came to a room filled with illusions and traps. The test was to navigate through the room without succumbing to the illusions or triggering the traps. The mages used their magic to detect the traps, and the warriors relied on their instincts to avoid the illusions. Arya, using her healing magic, was ready to help if anyone was injured. After a series of challenges, they managed to pass the test. The imps, impressed by their determination and integrity, allowed them to take the book. Arya picked up the book, and as she did, she felt a rush of knowledge enter her mind. The book, it seemed, was not just a written record but a living repository of magic. With the book in their possession, they left the island. As they sailed back to their towns, Arya began to study the book. She discovered that it contained powerful spells for protection, as well as knowledge about ancient magic that could be used to further strengthen the alliance between Havenbrook and Silverglade. When they returned to Havenbrook, Arya presented the book to the council. The council members were amazed by its power. "This could be a game changer for our towns," Lycan said. The council decided to form a group of scholars and mages to study the book in depth. They knew that the knowledge it contained had to be used wisely. The discovery of the book and the island added a new chapter to the story of Havenbrook and Silverglade. It was a story of exploration, discovery, and the constant pursuit of knowledge to better protect their land and their people. As the days passed, the towns continued to grow and prosper. The knowledge from the book was slowly integrated into the teachings of the academy, and new spells and techniques were developed. Arya, Finn, and Kai, inspired by their adventure, began to dream of more discoveries. They knew that there were still many mysteries in the world, and they were eager to explore them. Lila and Lycan, watching their children's enthusiasm, smiled. They knew that the spirit of adventure and the drive to protect their land would continue to guide the next generation. The towns of Havenbrook and Silverglade, with their new, found knowledge and strengthened alliance, looked towards the future with hope and excitement. And the story of their latest adventure would be told and retold, inspiring the young to seek knowledge, face challenges, and work together for the greater good. One evening, as the sun set over the two towns, Arya, Finn, and Kai sat on a hill overlooking the bustling communities. "There's so much more out there to discover," Arya said. Finn nodded. "And we'll be ready for whatever comes our way." Kai smiled. "Yes, we will. Together, with our towns and our allies, we can face anything." The three of them watched as the lights of the towns twinkled in the gathering darkness, a symbol of the hope and strength that lay within their communities. And as the night deepened, they knew that their journey was far from over, and that more adventures awaited them in the days to come. Chapter 12: The Unveiling of Hidden Truths and the Threat of the Dark Enclave. The discovery of the ancient book from the mysterious island had brought a new wave of energy and hope to Havenbrook and Silverglade. The scholars and mages, working tirelessly, began to unlock the secrets within the book. They discovered spells that could enhance the town's defenses, improve the fertility of the land, and even heal the most stubborn of ailments. Arya, at the forefront of these studies, spent hours in the Academy's library, poring over the glowing pages of the book. Her eyes sparkled with excitement as she deciphered complex incantations and ancient symbols. "This book is a treasure trove of knowledge," she told her fellow researchers. "It could change the way we live and protect our communities." Meanwhile, Finn and Kai were using the new, found knowledge to improve the town's military strategies. They trained the militia with new combat techniques inspired by the book, making the defenses of Havenbrook and Silverglade more formidable than ever. However, not all was well in the idyllic world they had created. Rumors began to spread among the travelers and traders that there was a growing threat in the east. A dark enclave, hidden deep within a vast, impenetrable forest, was said to be gathering power. The inhabitants of this enclave were rumored to be practicing dark magic, and they had a particular interest in the ancient book that Arya and her team had retrieved. The Council of Havenbrook and Silverglade, upon hearing these rumors, was immediately on high alert. Lycan, with his werewolf instincts, sensed that this was not just an idle rumor. "We can't ignore this," he said during a council meeting. "If there's a group of dark mages out there, and they're after the book, we need to be prepared." Elise, who had been researching the history of the land, added, "I've found some old texts that mention a similar dark enclave from centuries ago." They were known for their thirst for power and their willingness to do anything to obtain ancient artifacts. The council decided to send out a group of scouts to gather more information about the dark enclave. Arya, initially hesitant to leave the book, realized the importance of the mission. "I'll go," she said. "I can use my knowledge of magic to detect any hidden traps or dark spells." Finn and Kai also volunteered. "We can protect Arya and help gather information," Finn said. The scouting party, consisting of Arya, Finn, Kai, and a group of skilled trackers and mages, set off towards the east. As they entered the vast forest, they could feel a palpable sense of unease. The air was thick and still, and the trees seemed to huddle together, as if hiding some dark secret. The trackers led the way, following faint trails that might lead them to the dark enclave. As they walked deeper into the forest, they noticed strange markings on the trees. The markings were a series of symbols that seemed to pulse with a dark energy. Arya studied the symbols. These are definitely dark magic symbols. They're used to mark territory and ward off unwanted intruders. But I think I can bypass them. Using a spell from the ancient book, Arya managed to neutralize the symbol's effects. The group continued their journey, more cautious than ever. Suddenly, they heard a soft chanting in the distance. The trackers motioned for everyone to be quiet. They crept forward, and through a clearing in the trees, they saw the dark enclave. The enclave was a collection of dark, imposing buildings. The walls were made of a black stone that seemed to absorb the light, and there were strange, glowing orbs floating above the structures. Dark, robed figures moved about the enclave, their hands glowing with dark magic as they chanted. Arya, Finn, and Kai watched from a hidden vantage point. They could see that the dark mages were performing some kind of ritual. A large, black cauldron was at the center of the clearing, and dark smoke billowed from it. Kai whispered, "What are they doing?" Arya, her eyes fixed on the ritual, replied, "I'm not sure, but it can't be good. I think they're trying to summon something powerful." Just then, a dark figure emerged from one of the buildings. He was tall, with a long, flowing black robe and a mask that covered his face. The figure seemed to be the leader of the dark enclave. He raised his hands, and the chanting grew louder. The cauldron began to shake violently, and a dark, shadowy form emerged from it. The form was massive, with wings that spread across the clearing. It let out a deafening roar, and the ground trembled. Arya realized that they had to leave and inform the council immediately. "This is too dangerous. We need to get back and warn everyone." The scouting party quietly retreated from the area. As they made their way back to Haven Brook and Silverglade, they discussed what they had seen. "We need to prepare for an attack," Finn said. "Those dark mages are definitely up to no good, and they might come after the book." When they returned to the towns, they reported their findings to the council. The council was shocked but determined. "We'll strengthen our defenses," Lycan said. "We have the knowledge from the ancient book, and we have the combined forces of Haven Brook and Silverglade. We can face this threat." The next few days were filled with intense preparations. The mages worked on creating powerful defensive spells, while the warriors trained rigorously. Arya, along with a group of healers, prepared potions and remedies for the inevitable battle. Elise, in the meantime, continued her research. She discovered that the Dark Enclave was trying to awaken an ancient, evil entity. The entity, if awakened, could plunge the entire land into darkness. The council decided to launch a preemptive strike. They knew that waiting for the dark mages to attack would put their towns at a greater risk. A large army, consisting of warriors and mages from both towns, set off towards the dark enclave. As they approached the enclave, the dark mages seemed to be expecting them. The enclave was surrounded by a wall of dark magic, and dark-robed figures stood ready to defend it. The mages from Havenbrook and Silverglade began to chant counter-spells, trying to break through the wall of dark magic. The warriors, led by Finn and Kai, readied their weapons for the charge. Arya, in the middle of the army, used her healing magic to create a protective shield around the mages. The battle was fierce. The dark mages sent blasts of dark energy towards the army, and the warriors had to dodge and fight back with all their might. Lycan, in his werewolf form, led a group of warriors in a direct assault on the dark enclave. He charged through the wall of dark magic, his strength and ferocity overwhelming some of the dark mages. The mages from Havenbrook and Silverglade, working together, managed to break through the wall of dark magic. The army rushed into the enclave, engaging the dark mages in a close-quarters battle. Arya, seeing the leader of the dark enclave, knew that they had to stop him. She fought her way through the chaos towards the dark figure. The leader of the dark enclave noticed her approach and sent a wave of dark magic towards her. Arya, using a spell from the ancient book, created a shield that absorbed the dark magic. She then launched a counter-spell, which hit the dark figure. The figure stumbled, but quickly regained his composure. Just as the battle seemed to be reaching its climax, the dark mages, in a last-ditch effort, tried to complete the ritual to awaken the ancient evil. Arya, realizing the danger, used all her power to disrupt the ritual. She rushed towards the cauldron and used a powerful purifying spell. The spell caused the cauldron to explode, disrupting the ritual. The dark mages, their plans foiled, were left in disarray. The warriors and mages of Havenbrook and Silverglade took advantage of the situation and launched a final attack. They managed to defeat the dark mages, and the dark enclave was destroyed. The land was once again safe from the threat of the dark enclave. The people of Havenbrook and Silverglade celebrated their victory, but they knew that they had to remain vigilant. Arya, Finn, and Kai were hailed as heroes. Their courage and determination had played a crucial role in the victory. The ancient book, which had been the target of the dark mages, now became an even more precious asset for the towns. The council decided to create a special chamber to house the book, ensuring its safety and allowing for further study. The knowledge from the book would continue to be used to improve the lives of the people and protect the land from any future threats. As the days passed, the towns returned to their normal routine, but with a new-found sense of unity and strength. The story of the battle against the Dark Enclave was told and retold, a reminder of the importance of courage, unity, and the constant struggle against dark magic. Lila and Lycan, proud of their children and the entire community, knew that the future held more challenges. But they were confident that with the spirit of cooperation and the knowledge they had gained, Havenbrook and Silverglade would continue to thrive. One sunny day, as Arya walked through the bustling marketplace of Havenbrook, she saw the happy faces of the people. She knew that their efforts had been worth it, and she was ready to face whatever new adventures and threats the future might bring. The towns, with their strong defenses, wise leadership, and the spirit of unity, stood as a beacon of hope in the land. And the legacy of their battles and victories would inspire generations to come, ensuring that the land would remain free from the shadow of dark magic. Chapter 13 The Whispers of the Old Gods and the Journey Beyond the Veil. In the wake of the victory over the Dark Enclave, Havenbrook and Silverglade settled into a period of relative peace. The towns, strengthened by their alliance and the knowledge from the ancient book, flourished. The land was fertile, the people were content, and the memory of the recent battle gradually faded into a cautionary tale told to the younger generations. However, strange things began to occur in the outlying areas of the two towns. Hunters reported hearing strange whispers in the forest, whispers that seemed to carry on the wind but made no sense in any known language. Farmers claimed that their fields glowed with an otherworldly light at night, and fishermen spoke of seeing strange shapes in the depths of the rivers and lakes. Arya, ever vigilant, was among the first to take notice of these reports. She brought them to the attention of the council. "These aren't just random occurrences," she said. "There's something more going on here. These could be signs of a new threat, or perhaps something more mysterious." The council, led by Lycan and Lila, decided to investigate. A team was assembled, consisting of Arya, a group of mages from Silverglade, and some of the most experienced trackers from Havenbrook. Their first stop was the forest where the hunters had heard the whispers. As they entered the forest, the air grew thick with an otherworldly stillness. The trees seemed to stand sentinel, their branches swaying gently in a breeze that carried an undercurrent of something unknown. The trackers led the way, their eyes scanning the ground for any signs of disturbance. Suddenly, one of the trackers held up his hand. "Listen," he whispered. Faintly, on the wind, they could hear the whispers. They were soft, almost like a gentle murmur, but there was an urgency to them that sent a shiver down their spines. Arya, using her magic, tried to detect the source of the whispers. She closed her eyes and focused her energy. After a moment, she opened her eyes and pointed deeper into the forest. "It's coming from that direction. But be careful. I can sense a powerful magic at work here." The group moved forward cautiously. As they rounded a large oak tree, they came across a clearing. In the center of the clearing, there was a large, ancient stone. The stone was covered in symbols that none of them had ever seen before. The whispers seemed to be emanating from the stone. One of the mages, a young man named Selim, stepped forward to study the symbols. "These are not like any of the ancient symbols we've encountered so far. They seem to be from a time long before even the oldest of our texts. Arya placed her hand on the stone, and as she did, a vision flashed before her eyes. She saw a world bathed in a strange, multicolored light. Creatures that were part human, part beast roamed the land, and in the distance, there were towering temples dedicated to beings she could only assume were gods. When she pulled her hand away, she was pale. I saw something from a time long past. I think these whispers are some kind of message from that era. The group decided to take the stone back to the academy in Havenbrook for further study. Elise, along with the other scholars, examined the stone for days. They cross-referenced the symbols with every ancient text they had, but there was no clear answer. However, Elise remembered reading about an old legend. The legend spoke of the old gods, ancient beings who had created the land and its magic. It was said that in times of great need, the old gods would send signs and messages to guide the people. Could these whispers be a message from the old gods? The council decided to seek the help of an oracle, a wise woman who lived in a secluded cave on the outskirts of Silverglade. The oracle was said to have the ability to interpret the most cryptic of signs. Arya, Elise, and a small escort set off to find the oracle. The journey to the cave was long and arduous. They had to cross a treacherous mountain pass and navigate through a dense, thorny thicket. When they reached the cave, it was dark and foreboding. Arya called out, "We seek the oracle. We come in peace, seeking answers." After a moment, a figure emerged from the depths of the cave. It was an old woman, her face lined with wisdom, and her eyes a deep, piercing blue. "What is it that you seek?" she asked. Arya explained about the stone, the whispers, and the vision she had seen. The oracle listened intently. Then, she motioned for them to follow her deeper into the cave. Inside the cave, there were shelves filled with strange artifacts and ancient scrolls. The oracle rummaged through the scrolls until she found what she was looking for. "I thought so," she said. "These symbols are indeed from the time of the old gods. The whispers are a warning." The oracle went on to explain that the old gods were concerned about the balance of magic in the land. The recent battles and the use of powerful magic, especially the dark magic, had disrupted the natural equilibrium. If the balance was not restored, a great catastrophe would befall the land. The council, upon hearing this, was deeply troubled. "How can we restore the balance?" Lycan asked. The oracle replied, "There is a place beyond the veil, a place where the source of all magic in the land lies. You must journey there and perform a ritual to realign the magic. But be warned, the journey is fraught with danger. The veil is guarded by powerful creatures, and beyond it, there are forces that can drive a person mad." The council decided that a group would be sent on this perilous journey. Arya, determined to set things right, volunteered. Finn and Kai, not willing to let their sister go alone, also offered to go. A group of the bravest warriors and most powerful mages from both towns joined them. The group prepared for the journey. They gathered supplies, enchanted their weapons and armor, and studied every bit of knowledge they could find about the veil and the source of magic. When they were ready, they set off. The journey to the veil was long and filled with challenges. They had to cross a vast desert, where the sun beat down mercilessly during the day and the temperature dropped to freezing at night. They also had to navigate through a maze of canyons, where strange, shadowy creatures lurked in the shadows. Finally, they reached the veil. The veil was a shimmering, iridescent wall that seemed to stretch as far as the eye could see. It pulsed with a powerful magic, and the air around it crackled with energy. The mages worked together to find a way through the veil. They chanted spells and used ancient incantations, but the veil resisted. Just as they were about to give up, Arya remembered a passage from the ancient book. She recited a powerful spell, and slowly, the veil began to part. The group stepped through the veil. Beyond it, they entered a world that was both beautiful and terrifying. The sky was filled with swirling colors, and the ground was made of a strange, glowing crystal. But there were also creatures unlike any they had seen before. There were large, winged serpents that soared through the air, their scales reflecting the multicolored light. There were also small, imp-like creatures that scurried about, their eyes glowing with a malevolent light. The group had to fight their way through these creatures. The warriors used their weapons to fend off the attacks, while the mages sent blasts of magic to weaken the creatures. Arya, in the middle of the battle, used her healing magic to tend to the injured. After a long and arduous battle, they managed to reach the source of magic. The source was a large, pulsating crystal at the center of a circular platform. The crystal was the heart of all magic in the land, and it was indeed out of balance. Arya, along with the mages, began the ritual to realign the magic. They chanted ancient words and used the power of the crystals they had collected on their journey. The crystal at the source began to glow brighter, and the magic in the land started to shift and realign. However, as they were performing the ritual, a powerful force emerged from the crystal. It was a dark, shadowy figure, a manifestation of the disrupted magic. The figure lashed out at the group, sending waves of dark energy towards them. Finn and Kai, along with the warriors, stepped forward to protect Arya and the mages. They fought with all their might, but the figure was incredibly powerful. Arya, in a moment of desperation, used the last of her energy to send a blast of pure, white magic towards the figure. The blast hit the figure, and it let out a scream. The figure began to dissipate, and the crystal at the source returned to its normal state. The magic in the land was once again in balance. The group, exhausted but victorious, made their way back through the veil. When they returned to Haven Brook and Silverglade, they were hailed as heroes. The townspeople celebrated their safe return and the restoration of the magic's balance. The council, realizing the importance of what they had done, decided to establish a group dedicated to monitoring the magic in the land. This group would ensure that the balance was maintained and that any future disruptions were dealt with promptly. Arya, Finn, and Kai, having faced yet another great challenge, knew that their adventures were far from over. But they were proud to have played a part in protecting their land and its magic. As the days passed, the towns returned to their normal, prosperous selves. The story of their journey beyond the veil became a legend, a story of courage, sacrifice, and the power of unity in the face of the unknown. Lila and Lycan, watching their children grow into such remarkable heroes, were filled with pride. They knew that the future of Havenbrook and Silverglade was in good hands, and that the spirit of adventure and the will to protect the land would continue to guide the next generations. One evening, as Arya, Finn, and Kai sat on a hill overlooking the two towns, they talked about their experiences. "We've seen so much," Arya said. "But I know there's still so much more out there to discover." Finn nodded. "And we'll be ready for whatever comes our way. We have each other, and we have our towns." Kai smiled. "Yes, and together, we can face any challenge, no matter how great." The three of them watched as the sun set over the towns, casting a warm glow over the land. And as the night fell, they knew that their legacy of protecting the land and its magic would live on, inspiring those who came after them to seek knowledge, face their fears, and work together for the greater good. Chapter 14: The Return of the Ancient Rival and the Battle for the Heart of Magic. In the peaceful aftermath of restoring the balance of magic, Havenbrook and Silverglade enjoyed a period of unparalleled prosperity. The towns, united by their shared experiences and strengthened by the efforts of Arya, Finn, Kai, and their companions, thrived. The land was bountiful, and the people lived in harmony, with the memory of past perils fading into the annals of history. However, beneath the surface of this idyllic existence, a shadow was beginning to loom. Deep in the forgotten corners of the world, an ancient rival, thought to be long vanquished, was stirring. This rival was none other than Malachi, a powerful dark sorcerer who had been defeated centuries ago by the combined forces of the old gods and the greatest mages of that era. Malachi had been sealed away in a realm of eternal darkness, but a rift in the fabric of magic, caused by the recent disruptions, had allowed him to break free. He emerged from the darkness, his eyes filled with hatred and a thirst for revenge. He had learned of the restoration of the magic's balance and the new, found strength of Havenbrook and Silverglade, and he saw these towns as a threat to his plans of world domination. Malachi began to gather his forces. He summoned dark creatures from the depths of the underworld, creatures that had been dormant for centuries. He also found a group of rogue mages who were lured by his promises of power. With his army assembled, Malachi set his sights on the source of magic that Arya and her group had so recently protected. Rumors of a new and powerful threat began to spread throughout the land. Travelers brought tales of strange, dark, cloaked figures seen in the distance, and of dark magic being used in the outlying areas. Arya, now a respected leader in Havenbrook, was among the first to hear these rumors. She immediately reported them to the council. "The signs are clear," Arya said, her face grave. "This is not just another random threat. There's a powerful force at work here, and it seems to be targeting the very heart of magic that we work so hard to protect." Lycan, his werewolf instincts on high alert, nodded. "We can't take any chances. We need to gather our forces and prepare for the worst." The Council of Havenbrook and Silverglade wasted no time. They called for a meeting of all the warriors, mages, and leaders from both towns. Ilara, the leader of the Silverglade Council, addressed the gathering. "We've faced many threats before, and we've overcome them. But this time, the threat seems more formidable. We need to be united, more than ever." The group decided to send out scouts to gather more information about the approaching threat. Arya, Finn, and Kai volunteered to lead one of the scouting parties. They set off, following the trail of dark magic that seemed to be leading them towards an old, abandoned fortress on the outskirts of the land. As they approached the fortress, they could feel the presence of dark magic growing stronger. The air was thick with it, and the very ground seemed to tremble with the force of the dark energy. The fortress was in ruins, but there were signs of activity. Dark, robed figures were moving about, and the sounds of strange incantations filled the air. Arya, using her magic to mask their presence, led the group closer. They watched as Malachi, the ancient sorcerer, stood in the courtyard of the fortress. He was chanting a powerful spell, his hands glowing with a dark, purple light. Around him, his army of dark creatures and rogue mages stood at attention. Kai whispered, "That's him. The source of the threat. But look at the size of his army." Finn nodded. "We need to get back and warn the council. We can't face this alone." Just as they were about to retreat, a dark, winged creature spotted them. It let out a screech, alerting the others. Malachi turned towards them, his eyes filled with a malevolent glee. "You've come just in time," he said. "I was looking for you. Your interference has been a nuisance for far too long." Malachi launched a blast of dark magic towards them. Arya quickly erected a shield, but the force of the blast was so strong that it sent them flying back. The scouting party found themselves in a fight for their lives. The dark creatures and rogue mages charged at them. Finn and Kai drew their swords and engaged the enemy. Arya, along with the other mages in the scouting party, used their magic to counter the dark spells. The battle was intense, but the scouting party managed to hold their own. Arya, realizing that they were outnumbered, used a powerful spell to create a distraction. She summoned a large, glowing light that blinded the enemy for a moment. Taking advantage of this, the scouting party fled. They returned to Havenbrook and Silverglade and reported their findings to the council. The council was shocked but determined. "We knew this would be a tough battle," Lycan said. "But we have the strength and the will to win." The next few days were filled with intense preparations. The mages worked on creating powerful defensive and offensive spells. They also developed a plan to counter Malachi's dark magic. The warriors trained rigorously, practicing new combat techniques and strategies. Arya, in the meantime, delved deeper into the ancient book they had found on the island. She was looking for any spells or knowledge that could help them in the upcoming battle. She discovered a powerful spell that could weaken Malachi's hold on his dark army. The council decided to launch a two-pronged attack. One group of warriors and mages, led by Finn and a powerful mage from Silverglade, would attack Malachi's army from the front. Another group, led by Arya, Kai, and Lycan, would sneak around the fortress and target Malachi directly. The day of the battle arrived. The army of Havenbrook and Silverglade marched towards the fortress. The air was filled with a sense of determination. As they approached, the dark army of Malachi emerged from the fortress to meet them. The battle that ensued was epic. The clash of weapons and the explosion of magic filled the air. Finn and his group fought bravely against the dark creatures and rogue mages. The mages from Havenbrook and Silverglade sent blasts of light magic to counter the dark spells of their enemies. Meanwhile, Arya, Kai, and Lycan made their way around the fortress. They encountered some resistance along the way, but they managed to fight their way through. When they reached the courtyard where Malachi was, he was waiting for them. Malachi laughed. "You think you can stop me? You're too late. I've already begun the ritual to corrupt the source of magic." Arya stepped forward. "We won't let you succeed. We've faced and defeated threats before, and we'll defeat you too." Malachi launched a series of powerful dark spells at them. Lycan, in his werewolf form, charged at Malachi, trying to break his concentration. Kai used his sword to deflect some of the dark magic. Arya, using the spell she had discovered in the ancient book, began to weaken Malachi's hold on his dark army. As the battle raged on, the situation seemed dire. Malachi was incredibly powerful, and his dark magic was overwhelming. But Arya, Lycan, and Kai refused to give up. Suddenly, Arya noticed a flaw in Malachi's spell casting. She saw an opportunity and took it. She used a combination of her healing magic and a powerful offensive spell to disrupt Malachi's ritual. The disruption caused a backlash of dark magic. Malachi was caught off guard, and the dark army, now free from his full control, began to turn on itself. The warriors and mages of Havenbrook and Silverglade, seeing this, launched a final, decisive attack. Malachi, realizing that he was defeated, tried to escape. But Lycan was too fast. He lunged at Malachi and managed to land a powerful blow. Malachi fell to the ground, his dark magic dissipating. The battle was won. The dark army was defeated, and Malachi was once again vanquished. The people of Havenbrook and Silverglade cheered. They had faced a great threat and emerged victorious. The council decided to take precautions to ensure that Malachi or any other similar threat would never rise again. They placed powerful spells of protection around the source of magic and established a permanent guard to watch over it. Arya, Finn, and Kai were hailed as heroes once again. Their courage and determination had saved the land from the clutches of the ancient sorcerer. The story of their battle against Malachi was added to the long list of heroic tales in the history of Havenbrook and Silverglade. As the days passed, the towns once again returned to their peaceful and prosperous ways. The land continued to thrive, and the people lived in harmony. Arya, Finn, and Kai, having faced so many challenges, knew that there could be more threats in the future. But they were confident that with their towns united and their spirits unbroken, they could face anything. One sunny day, as the three of them walked through the meadow between Havenbrook and Silverglade, they talked about their adventures. "We've come a long way," Kai said. Arya smiled. "Yes, we have. And I know that as long as we stick together, we can protect our land and our people." Finn nodded. "And who knows what other adventures await us? But we'll be ready, no matter what." The three of them looked out at the beautiful landscape, filled with hope and pride. The legacy of their heroism would continue to inspire generations to come, ensuring that the towns of Havenbrook and Silverglade would always stand strong against any threat. Epilogue: The ever-enduring legacy and the promise of tomorrow. In the years following the defeat of Malachi, Havenbrook and Silverglade blossomed into a haven of peace, prosperity, and knowledge. The combined towns became a beacon of hope for the entire land, drawing scholars, artisans, and adventurers from far-flung regions. The once separate communities had melded into one harmonious whole, their unity a testament to the power of cooperation and the shared will to overcome adversity. Arya, Finn, and Kai, now revered figures in the land, took on new roles as mentors and leaders. Arya, with her profound knowledge of magic and healing, established a renowned school of magic and medicine. Young mages and healers flocked to her institution, eager to learn from her vast experience. She spent her days teaching the next generation the importance of using magic for the greater good, passing on the wisdom she had gained from her numerous adventures. Finn, on the other hand, became the chief protector of the land. He trained a new generation of warriors, instilling in them the values of courage, honor, and loyalty. Under his guidance, the militia of Havenbrook, Silverglade became one of the most formidable forces in the region, ready to defend their home from any threat. Kai, with his love for exploration and discovery, led expeditions to the far reaches of the land. He mapped uncharted territories, discovered new resources, and forged alliances with distant tribes. His adventures not only expanded the knowledge of the land but also brought new opportunities for trade and cultural exchange. Lila and Lycan, having witnessed the growth and success of their children and the towns, settled into a well-deserved retirement. They spent their days in a small cottage on the outskirts of Havenbrook, surrounded by the beauty of nature. They often looked back on their life-long journey, filled with pride at what they had accomplished and what their children had become. One day, as Arya was teaching a class on advanced healing magic, a young student named Eloan raised her hand. "Master Arya, will there always be threats to our land? And if so, how can we be sure that we'll be able to overcome them?" Arya smiled at the young girl. "Eloan, the world is a vast and mysterious place, and there will always be challenges. But as long as we have knowledge, unity, and the courage to face our fears, we can overcome any threat. Look at our history. Time and time again, we've faced dark sorcerers, ancient evils, and unknown perils, and each time, we've emerged stronger." As the years turned into decades, the story of Havenbrook and Silverglade spread far and wide. Tales of their heroic battles, their unwavering unity, and their pursuit of knowledge became legends. These legends inspired other towns and communities in the land to come together, to share knowledge, and to protect the balance of magic. However, the land was not without its small challenges. Minor disruptions in magic still occurred from time to time, usually caused by inexperienced mages or natural fluctuations. But the combined forces of Havenbrook, Silverglade, with their vast knowledge and resources, were always quick to address these issues. One such incident occurred when a group of young mages in a neighboring town, inspired by the tales of the great magic in Havenbrook, Silverglade, attempted a powerful spell without proper preparation. The spell went awry, causing a magical imbalance that threatened to spread. Arya, upon hearing of the situation, immediately led a team of experienced mages to the neighboring town. They worked tirelessly to reverse the effects of the spell, teaching the young mages the importance of caution and proper study. "Magic is a powerful tool," Arya told them. "It must be respected and used with wisdom." As the centuries passed, the land underwent a transformation. The once small towns of Havenbrook and Silverglade had grown into a large, sprawling city-state. The city was a marvel of architecture, with towering spires, beautiful gardens, and bustling marketplaces. The academy, which had started as a small institution in Havenbrook, had expanded into a grand university, attracting the best minds from across the land. The descendants of Arya, Finn, and Kai continued to play important roles in the city-state. They carried on the legacy of their ancestors, always ready to protect the land, expand knowledge, and maintain the balance of magic. One sunny morning, a young boy named Rowan, a descendant of Arya, stood on the steps of the university. He looked out at the city, his eyes filled with dreams and determination. "I will continue the legacy of my family," he said to himself. "I will protect this land and all its people." Rowan was a bright and curious child, with a natural aptitude for magic. He had spent his childhood listening to the stories of his great-grandparents' adventures, and they had inspired him to become a great mage. As he entered the university, he met his friends, a diverse group of young people from different parts of the city-state. They, too, were inspired by the legends of Haven Brook and Silverglade and were determined to make their mark on the world. One of his friends, a young warrior named Owen, said, "Rowan, I think we can do great things. Just like our ancestors, we can face any challenge that comes our way." Rowan nodded. "Yes, we can. But we need to learn, to grow, and to work together." The group of friends spent their days studying, training, and exploring. They learned about the history of the land, the different types of magic, and the art of combat. They also took part in community service, using their skills to help the people of the city, state. One day, a strange phenomenon occurred in the northern part of the city, state. The land began to shake, and strange, glowing lights appeared in the sky. The council of the city, state, which included descendants of the original council members of Haven Brook and Silverglade, was immediately alerted. Rowan, Owen, and their friends volunteered to investigate. They set off towards the northern region, filled with a mix of excitement and trepidation. As they approached the area, they could feel a powerful magic at work. They soon discovered that a long, forgotten magical construct, buried deep beneath the ground, had been disturbed. The construct was a relic from the time of the old gods, and it was starting to malfunction. Rowan, using his knowledge of ancient magic, studied the construct. "We need to find a way to stabilize it," he said. "If we don't, it could cause a major magical disaster." The group worked together. Owen and the other warriors stood guard, protecting them from any potential threats that might be attracted by the unstable magic. Rowan and the mages among them used their magic to analyze the construct and find a way to fix it. After hours of intense work, they managed to stabilize the construct. The land stopped shaking, and the strange lights disappeared. The people of the northern region cheered, grateful to the young heroes. The council of the city, state was impressed by their efforts. They commended Rowan, Owen, and their friends for their courage and quick thinking. "You've shown that the spirit of our ancestors lives on," said the council leader, a descendant of Lycan. As time went on, Rowan, Owen, and their friends continued to have many adventures. They faced new threats, discovered new magical secrets, and helped to shape the future of the city, state. The legacy of Haven Brook and Silverglade, which had started with the heroic deeds of Lila, Lycan, Arya, Finn, and Kai, continued to thrive. It was a legacy of courage, unity, knowledge, and the unwavering determination to protect the land and its people. And so, the story of Haven Brook and Silverglade, though filled with countless adventures and challenges, had come full circle. It was a story that would be told and retold for generations to come. A story that would always inspire the young to be brave, to seek knowledge, and to work together for the greater good. As the sun set over the city, state, casting a warm glow over its spires and gardens, the people knew that their future was bright. They had the legacy of their ancestors to guide them, and they were ready to face whatever the future held. The spirit of Haven Brook and Silverglade, the spirit of unity and heroism, would endure forever, a beacon of hope in an ever-changing world.